As I get older, relationships are becoming more interesting to navigate. The twists and turns, the highs and lows, it's like a dance, and we're all just trying to find the right rhythm. Today is special. We're slowing things down, taking a beat, and delving into the heart of connections. I've got an extraordinary guest in the house, a woman whose voice has graced the airwaves from topping the charts to now gracing us with her presence on the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast. As Black women, we're often told to keep the pace, to hustle, to grind, especially as a new year comes. But what if we shifted that narrative? What if we embraced the power of slow living, letting life unfold at its own rhythm, at our own pace? It's about opting into life, not as a sprint, but as a thoughtful and intentional journey. And speaking of journeys, our guest today has weathered storms and triumphs in the public eye. Joining us today is the one and only Chrisette Michele, Grammy Award-Winning Recording Artist, newly crowned TED Talk speaker, and the brilliant mind behind the brand new podcast, Back Sis. She's weathered the journey of a 15-year career topping the Billboard pop and R&B charts, collaborating with artists from Jay-Z to John Legend, and touring the world. She's experienced cancel culture firsthand, love, marriage, and divorce, and the stigmas that come with adult ADHD and bipolar type 2, all in the public eye. Her new podcast, Back Sis, is where Chrisette Michele invites guests and friends to offer encouragement, hope, and personal methods to inner peace no matter the storm. Today, we're discussing the art of building strong connections mindfully, the magic that happens when you take a beat, and how slow living can deepen our bonds and transform our relationships. So, let's jump right on in. What is up, everyone? You are listening to the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, where we focus on personal growth and cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. I'm your host, Tyra, the creative actress, content creator, and mental health enthusiast. And today, you guys, we have a very, very special guest. We have the one and only Chrisette Michele. Hello, how are you?
Hello. I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I am so glad that you decided to come on the podcast today. I'm super excited today because we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about faith, resilience, and we're going to wrap it all up in relationships, whether it's platonic relationships, romantic, familial relationships, anything relationships. But before we dive all the way in, I want to start with an icebreaker. So I've seen a lot of your interviews and you do a lot of word associations, but today we're going to do color association. So it's basically the same thing, but we're each going to throw out a color and the other person is going to say the first word that comes to their mind. Are you ready?
I love it.
Okay, so I'll go first. Purple.
Childhood.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, you give me one.
Ivory.
Sunday morning. Right. Okay.
Especially on Communion Sunday.
Right. Especially on Communion Sunday. Yes. Yellow.
My father.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Magenta.
Okay. Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. Let me give you a little backstory. That's oh, okay.
Of course.
Okay, yes, I absolutely love that show. The color of his spots reminds me of that.
That's the fun stuff. Literally. So did you see I'm sorry, but did you see The Sword and the Stone? Do you remember the witch from The Sword and the Stone?
Yes.
With the big scary spots? Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. Okay.
Royal blue. Oh, wait, it's your turn.
But I'll do royal blue. My high school. That was one of our colors. Yeah. Okay. Gold.
Boring.
Give me a little context on that. Why? Why do you say that?
I hate when regality is always associated with money.
Yeah.
And so it's like as soon as we think of gold sometimes, we have to start this conversation about who should have it and who
Hmm.
shouldn't. So
Hmm.
it immediately went into activist mode when I hear the
Okay.
word gold.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
terrible, right?
But I feel you. But I really feel you. I really do. I'm loving where we're going with these colors. I absolutely love it. Okay. Give me one more, and then I'm gonna give you one more, and then we can move on. Cause this is fun. I like this kind of stuff.
Swarovski.
um, ice, ice. That's the first thing that really comes to mind, like an ice cave, like in, like the beautiful ice caves. That's what comes to
Mhm.
my mind when I think about I can't even pronounce it properly. Swarovski.
It's my third favorite.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So what's the first two? Have you been saying your favorite colors?
Pink, purple, and Swarovski are my three
Oh,
favorite colors.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Pink, purple. My favorite colors. See, my favorite color growing up was yellow, but all I wear these days is green. As you can see, my background is green. Green has become like, I guess, my adoptive favorite color just because I like to like be around it. And I would also say brown. I love a brown. Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Okay.
That's my wardrobe too.
Yes.
Neutrals and some neutral greens.
Because we look
Totally.
good in it. Like
That's right.
you literally can't go wrong.
100%.
Okay, one last color for you. Let's see where I'm gonna go with this. Periwinkle.
My first Birkin bag.
Oh, yes. I bet it is
Little,
beautiful.
it looks so pretty. I loved it.
Ooh. Oh, so
Mhm.
do you still have it or you don't have it anymore?
Nope, I let it go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was so fun. Thank you so much for playing color association with me.
I love that. I love anything like where something has to remind you of something else because it kind of
Hmm.
lets you know what's on your mind. Like
Yeah.
what do I need to deal with? So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you literally never know what's going to come to the surface whenever you're just thinking of a word and literally saying the first thing. So I
Mhm.
had fun. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so when I have a guest on the podcast, I always let them lead us in our affirmation. So I am going to throw it over to you so you can lead us in our affirmation of the week.
This week's affirmation is everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing.
Amen.
Everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing. Everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing. Everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing. Everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing. In God's perfect timing. Everything unfolds as it should in God's perfect timing.
Mm. I uh I love that affirmation, especially this year. So this month specifically, on the podcast, we've been talking about taking a beat. And I think this affirmation is so powerful with that sentiment because as long as you know that God always got you, it's easier for you to relax. It's easier to cast your worries on Him. It's easier for you to just sit and watch things happen and truly live in the moment. So I love the affirmation. And I was like, your voice is perfect for the affirmation. So I was really, really getting into it.
Yeah, the word in, like you said, kind
Mm-hmm.
of sticks out because
Mm-hmm.
it's not your timing. And if you're in God's perfection of timing, then you don't even have a choice but to trust him. It's so good.
Yes, it's honestly so, 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 so good. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, what you're working on, what things you have coming out soon. What is going on with Chrisette Michele these days?
Sure. I always joke and say I'd have to be here for 15 years to answer you.
Okay.
So, in a long story, incredibly short, my name's Chrisette Michele. I'm a Grammy Award-winning recording artist who's toured all over the world and sang with everybody from Jay-Z to John Legend. And now I'm in my comeback era. I've been through lots of fun things in the industry, but some of them were topsy-turvy. And one of those things kept me afraid to speak for about 7 years.
Mhm.
So at this particular moment in my career and in this juncture of my career, I'm opening up my mouth, maybe for the first time. People have
Mhm.
heard me sing, people have heard me around music, but they haven't heard me say words. So I
Mhm.
just did my very first TED Talk, and that is the beginnings of this next era, if you will, of my life. And I'm calling it my Comeback Sis era. So I'm releasing a podcast. You can go to comebacksis.com, and that's where you'll find everything Comeback Sis related. I'm super excited about it. And I think your audience is the first to find out.
Oh, yes. I'm super excited as well. I actually listened to a little bit of your TED Talk, and it was so poetic. It was so powerful. And I'm glad that you took that time to do something like that and actually share your voice and speak on the matter that you're referring to in the way that it should have been spoken on. So it was amazing to listen to the bits that I did listen to. And
Mhm.
I cannot wait to listen to your podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited. The guests are ridiculous. Their stories are ridiculous. And what the truth is I'm hoping that I'm the hand that holds the person who's going through something, wishing they had someone to hold them. I know in
Yeah.
my darkest hours of my life, I'll be like, where's my home girl at? I have my mom and my dad and my brothers and the church and my therapy and my yoga. But I think we sometimes just need that girlfriend to be like, come back, sis. You got
Mhm.
this.
And I love that you say that because yes, my audience, this is literally for my audience. So you guys definitely go check out Comeback Sis because when I started this podcast, it was because I wanted to create a space for little girls like me or young girls like me who were going through things that I was going through and I did not feel like there was space for me to share, to emote. I didn't feel comfortable sharing with my mom, my dad, my friends at home because I didn't really feel like they understood or they could give me exactly what I needed in that moment. So I'm so glad that you said that. Yes, it is definitely going to resonate with my audience.
Thank you. I can't wait to
Yeah.
share.
So the first episode goes live. Well, you guys, when you're listening to this episode, if you're listening on the day that it goes live, Chrisette's podcast does air today, Monday, January 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern
Eastern
time.
time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
where can they
And
listen?
so go to comebacksis.com. You can
Mhm.
just click the link when you get there. Make sure you join the newsletter. Our first guest is Real Talk Kim. And if you don't know who Real Talk Kim is, the moment you meet her, you're going to love her. She's a preacher. I said preacher, who has been married 4 times, who loves the Lord like a crazy person. And her claim, or the thing that she says that makes me crack up the most, is, girl, I don't know why Jesus loves me. I was on my way to hell in a slip and slide. So she is just a mess and a miracle all at the same time. One of my favorite humans. So make sure you check it out tonight at 7 p.m.
I absolutely love that. I'm definitely checking it out. Everybody who's listening, y'all better check it out, okay? Okay. So like we've been talking about, like at this month, we're focusing on taking a beat, slow living, rolling into the new year slowly, not feeling like you have to live up to the new year, new me hype of go, 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 have everything figured out. Can you think of a time in your life when you have applied this concept? Maybe in your personal life or professional life, or even in your health?
Yeah. So go, go, go just doesn't work for me. Um, Planning 59 months in advance doesn't work for me. And that's because I'm prone to worry.
Mm-hmm.
What works better for me personally is being present in the moment, and then seeing where that moment takes me. Being curious in the moment and not curious so much about the future. I know that sounds counterproductive, But when you can be present in the moment and hear what the moment is saying, if you stay there long enough, you'll be at the next moment already, and it'll be a
Yeah.
surprise. But if you're thinking about the next moment, then you don't get to have fun with the surprise, and you never sat in the last one. So for me personally, being in the moment works better than planning too far ahead. Now, there's two sides to that. And so a part of that for me is about sitting in your feminine energy. And then we talk sometimes about what it means to plan ahead and have vision and see what's next. And that's your visionary energy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's got to be some balance, because if you spend all your time in your visionary energy and you never get creative, truth is, you're not going to have any fun.
Hmm.
You're always going to be going and going and going. So have some fun, stay curious right now, and you'll get to the next part by default.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love how you said if you're waiting on the next moment, you're never really sitting in this moment, because I'm prone to worry too. I'm literally just starting to get out of a season of worry, 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 and I think it's because I'm getting older. I'm 29 years old, but like this time in my life, like I've just noticed that I've become very worrisome about the future and where I am in life and what's going on. So being present has been at the forefront of my mind, and the best way that I have been able to implement presence in my life is meditation, making sure that I am not planning those 59 months in advance. Sometimes taking it day by day. Sometimes I don't even have nothing planned for the day, just to get myself in the mode of, okay, we don't have to worry about tomorrow because it's not here yet, and yesterday was yesterday's problem. Like we only need to worry about today, because we will not be truly living. So I'm so glad that you said that. I love that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
So in your career or personal life, whichever one you want to speak on, have you ever faced any challenges that caused you to take a step back and reevaluate the way you like to handle things?
Oh my God, that's like the story of my life. Um, yeah, I mean, you eat a piece of chicken and it messes with your stomach the wrong way. You don't do it again.
Okay.
So that's the story of my life, is stopping and reevaluating. The exciting thing about stopping and reevaluating, or the frustrating thing, is you don't know how long the stop is going to be.
Hmm.
So when you first stop, for instance, if you ate that crazy piece of chicken and your stomach hurts, you don't know how long until your stomach's
Yeah.
going to feel better. But the
Yes.
stop starts at discomfort.
Hmm.
The stop begins when it's not fun.
Oh, that's
And a lot of
good.
times people keep going past that stop. But my whole thing is like, if it's not right, stop now.
Hmm.
You don't have to defend. You don't have to affirm yourself in that moment. Stop. And I think we don't stop enough.
Hmm.
And I think we don't stop because we don't know how long the stop is going to be. And we're so far ahead into the future already. And we're afraid that if we stop right now, we'll never get to where we're going. So, do you want to get to where you're going sick? Do you want to get to where you're going broken? Do you want to get to where you're going unhealed? Because you'll arrive there at some point, but I'd rather arrive healthy. So, yeah, that stopping part is a big deal. I have to stop in public and I have to stop in private. One of the biggest stops I had to make was after my divorce. I had filed for divorce, and I had a yoga studio that I loved, and I had a store, a boutique that I loved. I had a Range Rover that I loved, um, and I had friends in a neighborhood that I loved. And in that stopping, I had to decide which one of those things I would get to keep
Yeah.
and which one of those things I would have to leave behind. That happens in most stops, right? Is what stays and what goes. A lot
Hmm.
of stops are drop off points where you're dropping things off. And so I had to drop off almost everything I had. Um, and I had to move to a different place before I was even uh, furnished or um, fully decorated or had a wardrobe.
Yeah.
I had to move unprepared. I just knew that moving on um, was the right thing to do for my health. So that stop took about 3 years. And I'll tell you, when the stop was finished and all of the weight from the reason I stopped was lifted, it was like a rebirth. And so I didn't know how long that stop was going to last. I didn't know how long that divorce season was going to take. It took 3 years. And when it was done, I felt reborn. So I encourage stopping by all means. Um, Even when you want to go somewhere,
Mm.
the best idea is to stop. And the things that showed up for me at the end of the stop were some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, including a new me.
Hmm. I love that. I really love that. Um, that you said that. For me, when I like to call it a pause in my brain, that just makes more sense for me. But when I've had to to stop or take a pause, like a long pause, I tend to feel guilty for that pause. So what could you say to that, to people who are in the process of a stop or a pause, but they're feeling guilty about being stopped or paused for that long?
Yeah, I think the guilt usually has to do with what you have to drop off.
Yeah.
And tell me if that resonates. But sometimes the guilt is, who am I going to have to say no to right now? Who
Yeah.
am I going to have to release? Who am I going to have to disappoint? Um, that guilt trip at the stop, which is ironic, isn't that funny? It's an oxymoron. It's a guilt trip, but you have to stop
Right. Right.
and you have to disappoint a couple of people. You have to say no. You have to uh, memorize or recreate your boundaries. There's a lot of guilt in boundary creation.
Mhm.
There's a lot of guilt in rebuilding your value system and affirming your new value system. You're being made over in the stop, and so you're afraid that when you come out, nobody will know who you were. There's just all of this fear and guilt for becoming better. Becoming better is a guilt trip. Um, and it's because you don't know what people are going to think when you come out. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the advice there is sit in that discomfort because even if you're seated in the discomfort, you're still stopped and you're still doing the work. So the work really is the easiest part. The stop is the most uncomfortable part because it's not comfortable. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because it's bringing up that guilt. I'll say it like this. Feelings and work aren't the same thing.
Mm.
Feelings are more difficult than the actual work,
Yep.
right? If your mother says clean your room, the idea of cleaning your room is more difficult than actually cleaning it. So I think the sitting in it is not necessarily about the work that we have to do while we're sitting in it. It's about that uncomfortable, guilty feeling. Both can happen at the same time. The
Yeah.
discomfort of the mind and the work, those can happen at the same time. You can become better while feeling guilty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And I
I hope
think,
that helps somebody.
yeah, right. And to piggyback off of that, I've been in a few seasons in my short life where I have had to stop, where there is so I went to culinary school. I'm a pastry chef. I stopped for 5 years and I felt guilty all throughout that because it's like, oh, my mom paid for me to go to this school. You know, I have a bachelor's degree. That was a full ride. I chose to accumulate so much debt and go to culinary school. And then I had to stop because I was so burnt out. But the one thing that I've learned from that situation and other experiences where I have had to stop for long periods of time is that that discomfort, it builds you, but it also gets easier to recognize exactly what it is. And it makes it easier for you to sit in that and learn from that and grow from that. That's what I can say. Like, there's always going to be uncomfortable situations. We're always going to experience discomfort. Yeah, that's because we're growing in some way. And I think it's a beautiful process and it can be very uncomfortable throughout it, but it does get easier no matter how many times you have to go through an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah. I think there's this mistake that people make when they call bad things a growing process. guilt doesn't help you grow. Guilt is
Yeah.
just guilt.
Yeah.
Haters don't help you be motivated. Motivation and haters don't have to be, they don't have to coexist, but haters just exist.
Yeah.
So the good stuff exists right next to the bad stuff.
Hmm.
The bad stuff doesn't help you grow. It's
Yeah.
just called suffering well. You suffer
Ooh.
and you still do well at the same time. So it's just life. It's discomfort.
Hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm learning, and like, especially being where I am in my life, I just try to find things that help me keep going, because I recently went through a season. This is not even like what we were supposed to be talking about, but we letting this conversation flow. I recently went through a season. So I'm from Louisiana. I live in LA. I've been here for 6 years. I'm an actress. I've only had one show. The show got canceled, and now I'm here on my podcast, which is great. Thank you, God. But it obviously wasn't my plan. And recently, I would say about, what was that? Maybe like 5 months ago, I went through a very uncomfortable time where I truly just wanted to like give up. Like I like literally I never really go through situations that I have a lot of mental fortitude, and I've recently been going through more situations that have been eating at that mental toughness that I do have. And the the negativity is starting to become a little louder. So I'm trying to like work on different ways to process, get through, deal with whatever when I am at those stops that we're talking about. And recently I had one, and I was just like, I just want to hide. I just want to hide. I just want to give up. I just want to go. I just want to run. And I'm trying to figure out in life, how do you get through those types of things, especially because in the grand scheme of things, I'm so young. I hear that all the time. I'm so young. I don't feel so young, but in the grand scheme of life, I am so young, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, to check all the boxes, to get from point A to point B in a, short amount of time, or the amount of time that everybody else got from point A to point B from where I'm sitting. And I think a lot of this, it just honestly has to do with, I don't know, mindset, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, but you know what I mean? Like that's where I've
Yeah.
where I've been at.
Yeah. It sounds like you're doing a lot of work.
Hmm. Yes, the work,
And it sounds like that Psalms 91 space where you can literally hide in the secret place and live under the shadow of the Almighty.
Mhm.
You can literally hide. You have permission to hide. You said you want to hide, you have permission to.
Yeah.
It's actually a instruction, right? And that hiding uh, gives you access to life, gives you access to abiding underneath a shadow, which means that somebody is in front of you,
Hmm.
of the Almighty. Um, I think fear is, in this case, is it okay to hide? And the world tells us it's not okay to hide.
Right.
It calls it being a coward. It calls it being a punk. It calls it being afraid. No, you don't have the spirit of fear, but you can hide.
Hmm.
There's a place for that. And the Bible gives us that place, and it's very clear. So there's this lie or this trick that says, no, you have to stay out here and bear it in front of everybody. And the Bible doesn't say that.
Hmm.
The Bible doesn't say that. So it sounds like you're up against society's idea of what it means to be
Yeah.
strong. And that's not fair to your spiritual fortitude, which is your mental fortitude.
Hmm.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does. And I'm glad that you said that, because literally our last podcast episode was about that, redefining what societal norms are, like getting rid of all of that. So I do think that, and especially in this digital age, everyone wants to be vulnerable on social media. And if they're not seeing you cry and all this stuff, you're not going through nothing. And I think it's starting to subconsciously seep in that is what I should be doing. And it's something that I'm working on, learning and growing every day.
I love that.
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm about to scream. I love this. I love this so much. My first question for you is, we always talk about the things that we leaving in the year that just ended, but what relationships are you bringing into 2024 with you, and how are you moving at your own pace in that arena of
Yeah,
relationships?
I just did a live about this on Instagram, which by the way, I can't leave that hanging. You said we can have relationships with everything in every way. Have to forgive me. I think that's a boundary issue.
Oh, get me right. Talk about it.
I don't mean to, but I was watching something yesterday on YouTube and I saw somebody who had felt really heavy. And
Mm-hmm.
she began to name the things that she had a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about her relationship with her garden.
With her garden.
You hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
There's this idea that every single thing counts and I need to pay attention to every detail. And so I want to have a relationship with every single thing, every single person, every single outfit, every single weave, every single everything. And then we don't have a relationship with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is not worth a relationship with. And it gets so dangerous when we overexert ourselves and try and figure out how to identify with everyone and everything in a same way. So I couldn't leave that there. I
No,
just couldn't
thank
leave
you.
it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the
And don't
question
and don't
was,
apologize.
so the question was about what I'm bringing with me as opposed to what I'm leaving. And I did it a live on my Instagram about ghosting maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so tired of people ghosting each other.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this person did something wrong because I don't know how to address confrontation or whatever it is. I'm going to leave that person in the past. When we're talking about like this truly unconditional love, we don't really get to do that. Like, you don't get to just be like, I'm leaving you behind.
Yeah.
You may not have access to every part of me and every single thing about me, but I don't get to just wash my hands and be done with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets judgy. I think the relationship with the self is imperative. And I think that if we know what we need from ourselves, then whatever's left we can hand out to the other relationships. You can't overexert into the wrong people. But I think the question a lot of times is how arrogant of us to decide that a person is a wrong person.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, how do we qualify if someone is enough? I just, I don't feel comfortable with that idea. I think that we're in this world together and we do life together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the most exhausting part of life, but it's the point of it. We're not here for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, that's not why we were sent here. Go down to the earth and be all by yourself. I don't think that was the mission.
Yeah. That's yeah.
So that's a hard question for me to answer. What's your answer to that question out of curiosity?
Um, so the biggest relationship that I am excited to bring into 2024 is my relationship with God. Now, I've always been a Christian and I grew up in the South, the deep South, Bible Belt. But since I've moved to LA, I have um been able to redefine my relationship with God, because a lot of it was instilled in fear in the South, and I'm unlearning that portion of it and actually finding joy in my relationship with God. So I am excited to deepen my relationship with him and really explore that area of my life. So that's the relationship for me.
I love that. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point about like the boundary issues and things. I'm actually reading this book. Where is it? It's right here. Set Boundaries, Find Peace, because boundaries are super
I love
hard
it.
for me. Yeah. Yeah, super hard for me.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm reading her book. I'm not going to pronounce her name incorrectly, but she also has a workbook that goes along with it. So I'm doing the workbook and her actual book, and I'm excited to just unlearn a lot of things that I have, picked up along the way that no longer serve me.
Yeah. Is she black?
Yes. Let me see. Nedra, hold on.
I think I've read it, and
You think you read it?
she brings it from a black perspective, right? Like a
Yeah.
black woman. Yeah, it's much different than, no offense, but to the book Boundaries.
Yeah. Let
It
me
kind of
get it
takes it
real
from.
quick.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, my headphones are attached to my mic, so I wouldn't have been able to hear you if I just walked off.
all good.
Nedra Tawab.
Yes, I have
Yeah.
that book on my bookshelf. It's so good. You could tell me if I'm wrong. There's another one called All Black Girls Are Activists that kind of
Ooh, I
like
haven't heard of that
flip
one.
activism on its head based on you being a black girl. Um, and it's crazy that we have to write those books.
Yeah.
Her book is so genius to me because who else is taking it from the life that we
Mm-hmm.
are living as black women? I don't know. I love
Mm-hmm.
that book. I think that's such
Yeah.
a good choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to finish it. That's why it's right here by my bed. I'm in my room, so it's right by my
Mhm.
bed. And yeah.
Okay.
What was say the name of the book you just said again? All Black Girls Are Activists?
All Black Girls Are Activists.
I
Yeah.
have to write that
It
down.
is a loaded book from page number one.
Ooh.
It talks about feminism. Then it looks at feminism from the young Black woman's perspective. And then it looks at our generation of feminism.
Mm.
Don't read it from, or I can't tell you what to do, but I wouldn't read it from a spiritual perspective as much as I would read it from a cultural perspective,
Gotcha.
and then see what I'm responsible for spiritually.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Because I'm trying to start reading more, so I'm excited.
Fun.
Okay. So my next question is, what is most important to you in relationship?
Okay, this word relationship is really difficult because we're not being specific.
Let's say platonic
Um,
relationships. Let's say friends.
I'm very reserved. Um, so respecting how long it takes me to let you go from point A to point B is really important to me.
Hmm.
It takes me a long time to learn people. And so if you can't respect that it's going to take me a while to understand you, um, then it's going to be a short-term relationship
Hmm.
because I'm not just going to allow you all the way into my personal experience without me knowing why you're here.
Yeah.
Um, Defining relationships is almost paramount to me. And so if you walk into my life and tell me what the relationship is before I can understand who and what you actually are, for me, that's a red flag, whether it's a man, woman, boy, girl, dog, or cat.
Yeah.
Um, it's 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 knowing the boundaries, being okay with me being reserved, and giving me time to get to know you. Like that's paramount to me.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I would say, to like piggyback off of that, the thing that's most important to me is effective communication. Especially at the age I'm at, I've dealt with, let's take the ghosting thing. I've dealt with a lot of friends who would rather just fall back than say, hey, what you did, said, hurt me, or whatever the case may be. And now that I'm getting a little older, it's like, let's talk about it, because I'm not really, trying to have 1,000 best friends. I just want one. And lately in my life, in relationships, platonic relationships specifically, there has been a strain in that area of communication. So as of late, that's become most important to me.
Yeah, I hear you fully.
Yeah.
Me and a couple of my girlfriends have pacts where it's like, where do we go when we have a disagreement? And like it might be a particular restaurant or a particular picnic area that we choose. Because if I invite you to, let's say it's the Cheesecake Factory, if I say we need a Cheesecake Factory moment, you already know, get your pen and pad out
Yeah.
and come with your accountability pencil because we got some things to fix.
Hmm.
I
I
think
love
that's
that.
so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to implement that. Have a space. I think it's just honestly, that's something that I would love to implement, but like from like me, all of my friends live everywhere. I'm like the only person who lives in Los Angeles, so it gets a little hard, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes because I'm always on the road, like even now I'm on the road. I'm not home.
Mhm.
But sometimes because I'm on the road, we'll say, let's do a Zoom date or let's do a Facebook date. And we'll order. If I'm in a hotel, I'll order room service. I'll put on a dress, just maybe not stilettos. I'll get ready. And just because I love you so much, let's have a moment together, even if it's on Zoom. I think a
Mhm.
lot of like relationship stuff is about putting a little bit of effort in so the other person knows you care,
Yeah.
even if you're not right there. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm learning so much. Next question. Do you know your attachment style? And if you do, how does it affect how you navigate relationships?
That's so hard. Okay, so originally I dealt with anxious attachment. And I had to go to a lot of therapy for that. My fear of rejection was second to none, like top tier. And the idea was that you're going to not like me. You're going to think I'm too different to be friends with or to love. So my attachment style was anxious. Um, Being canceled gave me some time to realize that if people don't like you, you don't die. That
Mhm.
was the first time where I found out you don't die when you're rejected. But everyone's biggest innate fear is death. And so my thing was, oh my God, I'm still here. And that was the first time where I really inspected, Chrissy, why does it matter so much if everyone likes you or not?
Yeah.
And I couldn't blame it on the music business and, oh, they didn't like my song. And I couldn't blame it on something that happened in college. Oh, he didn't want to go on a date. I had to go way back in my childhood and pick up one incident that happened when I was a very, very little girl and realize, oh my goodness, I'm afraid that's going to happen again. And when I realized that now at my age, I'm able to protect myself, that I don't have to be afraid anymore, I was able to walk into the next steps of my life without that anxiety of neediness and needing to be attached.
This is feeding my soul so much because I have a very anxious attachment style and it stems from my childhood. I mean, our attachment styles all stem from our childhood. But um I'm just like literally I'm just so glad that you said that because that just it just filled me with a like just a sense of, you know, joy, like, okay, Tyra, keep doing this thing, keep working on this thing, you know, because yes, when I started therapy, it was because I started to realize that my fear of rejection was so strong and it was leaking over into relationships that it did not have to be in. My parents got a divorce when I was in ninth grade. I grew up in a very small town. Everybody knew what was going on, and it was just so hard. The town, it's 4,000 people in our town. People, we know everybody, you know?
Mhm.
So, oh, that's thank you. Thank you. Like I have no words other than thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. And
Thank
I'm working on
you.
it too. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness. I love this so much.
You'll get
Okay.
through it. Of therapy that was really fun was you put out 3 or 4 chairs, and each chair has a different era in your life. So maybe chair number one is ages 0 to 5. Chair number two is 5 to 15. Chair number three is 15 to 21. And chair number four might be 21 to 30, right?
Mhm.
And you ask yourself a question. Who do I love? Might be the question. And you sit in any chair and you choose any era of your life. As you continue to ask questions, you realize that each version of you answers questions differently. And when you start to get to know yourself era based as opposed to just who I am right now, you begin to realize that you can choose the best parts of yourself
Mhm.
and then work the hardest on those. That type of therapy was really eye opening for me. For instance, if I was dating a man who hurt me, I could say, well, how do you feel about that having happened to you? And I sit in the 3-year-old's chair and she answers. And she might say, well, it reminds me of the time that this happened to me. What does a 3-year-old say to that? What does the 3-year-old version of you say to that? So it really helps you realize how you make decisions, from what place you make decisions, and then what better decisions you can make in the future as the best version of yourself.
I absolutely love that. Oh wow. I was just talking about how like um we are all of those people in one. I am 3-year-old Tyra. I am 5-year-old Tyra, 10-year-old Tyra. And depending on the situation, we will innately respond as 10-year-old Tyra, 15, if it triggers that version of us. So I love that. And I think when I journal tonight, I'm journaling about that. I'm about to do that because that's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Have fun.
I will. These days I have been loving journaling and I just, you know, it's just a season of learning and truly exploring every facet of Tyra, and it's honestly been a very rewarding process.
Amen. I love it. I love that for you. I love that for us.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Do you have any tips for dating mindfully? What do you have to say to those who are in an urge to rush when it comes to dating?
Walk into his space with an open mind. Walk into his space as a creative. Walk into his space curious. When he watches you, know that he's wondering what he's looking at, and don't be offended by that, and don't be defensive about that. Allow him to wonder what he's looking at. There's an element of curiosity that lives in the beginnings of a relationship, and a man is curious one way and a woman is curious another way. She's looking at his environment and she's seeing how to be creative with it, and he's looking at her try and match us. So give yourself permission to just sit in his presence and be seen, be watched, and become understood without defense or offense. Just kind of rest in his presence and let him see you at rest. And that's how he'll get to know you. That's my advice for mindful new relationships with with partners.
I love that because that can be so hard to do, to really just sit. So I think that can really be a challenge for us out there in this dating landscape, especially in this day and age of instant gratification and just wanting to know what is and what it ain't ASAP. So I love that.
I love that response. That's so exactly the point. That's exactly what I meant.
Right?
It's like, sit. You're not gonna know, so just sit down.
Yeah.
Just don't know for a second. Be fascinated.
Hmm.
Like allow yourself to just be oh my goodness, I love whatever that thing is. He has 2 trees, oak trees in his backyard. Like if that fascinates you, be fascinated by it. I think we're so worried about what that I'm looking at gets to be mine that we don't just get to be fascinated by what we're looking at. I wonder if I'm going to get to live in that house. I wonder if I'm going to get to drive in that car. I wonder if I'm going to get to, you know, do things in his environment. And it's like, just be fascinated by it for now and then see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm single, so I've started to live in that and just let it be. And it's so freeing. Once you actually let it happen, let it happen, it's like, okay, I actually really like it here, because there's no worry. There's no, okay, well, it's been 2 months and he ain't done said or did this. None of that even matters. You're truly falling in love with the process. You're getting to know this person. You're learning stuff about yourself. It's not just about learning about the other person. You're learning about who you are in relationship and what you expect and what you want out of love in general. So I think dating mindfully is in 2024, that's all we doing.
Yeah, relax. We are so like exhausted and panicked and burnt out. Like, sit down. Sit
Girl,
down.
sit down.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. Life isn't a sprint. It's a thoughtful and intentional journey. But as we discuss the twists and turns of relationships today, I couldn't help but think about life in a different rhythm, a slower beat that resonates with intention and grace. One that has moments where we have to stop, take inventory, and learn to move or not move through discomfort. Chrisette said something today that really resonated with me. She said, we don't stop enough. And we do that because we don't know how long the stop is going to be. But during one of her longer stops, at the end of it, she was able to uncover some of the most beautiful things she'd ever seen, including a new her. It struck me how we often fear the pauses in our lives, the moments of stillness that invite us to confront the raw, unfiltered truths. Yet, it's in those quiet moments, those beats of reflection, that we find not only our resilience, but the richness of our own evolution. Whether in the slow unfolding of romantic bonds, the deepening of platonic friendships, or the mindful approach to dating that Chrisette and I spoke of, the essence lies in the pauses, the stops. In these beats, we learn not just about others, but about ourselves. We discover the cadence of our hearts, the intricacies of our desires, and the beauty of embracing each other's journey. Uh-oh, you guys, you know what time it is. It is time for our fun closing segment. And today, Chrisette and I are going to play a very fun game. It is called Watching, Reading, Eating, and Wanting. And we're just going to share some things that we're watching, reading, eating, and wanting and recommend them to you guys. So, Chrisette, what are you watching right now?
I'm always watching van life videos, but there's a lot of
Really?
Black girls living in vans right now. So it's really fun to watch how we decorate our
Yeah.
vans.
I love that. I forgot the girl's name. Jen. Is her name Jen, the Black girl? She just bought a house, but she was living in a van. And over COVID, her channel absolutely blew up. She was living in a van with her pet snake. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's huge.
Yes.
Janae, she's so cute. I love her.
Yes.
Well, her
And she
house
bought a
is
house.
almost like a van because it's like bare bones. I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
what is it called? Not a hut, but I don't know what that kind of house
Oh,
is called.
I don't know either.
She's so cool.
She is cool.
Yeah.
Um, what am I watching? I have been watching a lot of docuseries on Netflix. I just finished watching our great national parks on Netflix. Is narrated by Barack Obama. Absolutely love anything nature. Always has me in a chokehold.
You know what? I got to stop you because it's so unfair. I was on a show yesterday and they were like, "What's your favorite first date?" And I was like, "Please take me hiking." And they
Yeah.
were like, "What?" And I was like, "Y'all don't know Black girls like to go outside?" And they were so flabbergasted. So I'm so glad you said that. Thank you.
Yes, of
Yes.
course. And you know what? To even piggyback off of that, I I would rather a hike. Let's do a fun activity. We can go bowling, pottery, something. Take me to do something where we have a task at hand and we're either working together or we are doing something physical. So, because everybody want to take you out to eat and it's like this formal thing. And you know what I mean? First of all, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
nervous. So I need to be doing something with my hands on
Yeah.
this first date. But a hike, oh
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. There's this thing called sexual energy that we act like doesn't exist, but
Mm-hmm.
energy is energy. And so if we climb a mountain, then I won't be so horny at the end of the day. Like, let's do something that
Can we
exerts
talk
all of this
about it?
energy, and then I can remain abstinent.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. That's important. That's why I work out
Because
6 days a week. Okay. So
I'm a
listen.
horny.
That is you speaking truth, okay? Nothing but the truth. Okay, we kind of touched on this, but what are you reading right now?
Not to be a cornball, I'm always in my word.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably annoying to most of my friends. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to think of the last book that I just finished reading. Oh, this book is silly. But it's fun. The Bookshop of Second Chances.
Ooh.
Just another one I want to show you. When Life Gives You Lululemons. Um,
Ooh.
and then I'm rereading Uninvited by Lisa TerKeurst, which I had recommended to a bunch of my sisters back in the day because of this uninvited rejection culture we live in. So
Mm-hmm.
uninvitedism too.
I
Lots of
love
fun
that.
stuff.
Here's the thing. I don't know none of them books that you
Mhm,
just mentioned, but I'm
mhm,
trying to get into reading a lot more because here I love to read whenever, but I've only enjoyed reading when a book was given to me. Does that make sense? I don't really go out and find the books, but if somebody says, "Tyra, you gotta read this book," and I read it, I'm like, "Oh my God, I love that."
What
It's
kind of
so
books do you
good.
find yourself liking the most?
So my favorite book is The Count of Monte Cristo. I read that in high school, but it's so good. It's full of drama. It's full of adventure. It's full of everything. Big old book.
Okay, wait, let me
So
pull up this
I
book.
love anything. And I want to read more fiction. So adventure, drama, love, that sort of thing.
Yeah, nobody reads enough. We don't talk about fiction enough.
Hmm.
Talk about all the serious stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on that.
And preferably something by like a Black woman author. That would
I
be great.
know that's the one I'm trying to find. All right, if I find it before the end, I'll show it to you.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Um, as far as what I'm reading, well, we already said I am reading Set Boundaries, Find Peace.
Hmm.
Um, and I love it so far. Other than
It
that, I
sounds,
want to
yeah, it sounds like you're enjoying it.
I am. I'm like yeah, I'm halfway through with it now. But to your point, I have so many books on Audible, but I also have like 12 credits because I don't read fast enough to use a credit every month, but I have a bunch of
Hmm.
books on Audible as well because I love a
Got
good
you.
audiobook. Hmm.
I love it. Oh,
Okay.
here it is.
Oh, what
The
is it?
Vanishing Half
The
by
Vanishing
Brit. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett.
Brit.
Now, it is not a Christian novel,
That's totally fine.
but it is ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I
All right. I'm
read
sorry.
it or should I listen to the audiobook or
Either
both?
way.
Okay.
And sometimes you do have to do both because
Mm-hmm.
this book is so freaking good. Should I tell you what it's about? I- I'll just say
Don't tell me the
for
moment.
you, it's a good book because
Okay.
of where you're from.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And it's got a little bit about colorism in there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically two sisters that are different shades and they're from where you're from,
Mm-hmm.
and they both of their lives pan out completely different based on the color of their skin.
Okay.
And then I won't tell you anything else because it'll be too much, but it's also a love story.
Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read it. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna let you know what I think about it.
I'm so nervous. I
Okay.
never recommend fiction. I'm really nervous. It's like the first time I've done that. I'm
Okay.
always like, read this nonfiction, very important book about your mind.
Same, same, absolute same. But I'm excited because I am ready to dive back into some fiction books. So I'm gonna let you know. I'm also easy to please. So I'm not gonna say, Chrisette,
Oh
girl,
no,
let
I'm
me
nervous.
just
I'm nervous.
okay.
Yeah.
What are you eating right now? What are you loving in the food world?
I've been wanting to go back raw vegan. I
Really?
miss it.
I did that
It's
for
my
4
favorite.
days and I just back in like 2017 though.
Mhm. I did it for years, probably about 3. And
Really?
yeah, it reset my body, my mind, my heart. I had an eating disorder,
Mhm.
and I'll just be funny about this. A lot of times, people with eating disorders find extreme communities, and they, become that kind of an eater. So for me, the eating disorder happened. I got through that, went to therapy for it, but then I fell in love with raw veganism to regulate my systems in my body and reset my circadian rhythm.
Mhm.
And I miss it so much. So
You
I'm
should
eating a
do
lot of
it.
food. I want to,
You
yeah,
should.
but I've been eating lemon pepper wings at the hotel.
Speaking of lemon pepper wings, I just had the best lemon pepper wet wings. I made them myself, but they were the best
Wet.
lemon pepper wet wings. They were so good. Okay, let me tell you what I did. And then I went home and I made them for my mama, and she was licking the plate. She gonna listen to this. And she gonna be like, I was not licking the plate. Chris said she was licking the plate. So this is what I did. I
Wait,
made my
what was in that sauce? I'm confused. Was it like a butter sauce? Like what?
yes, so I did 2 different versions the first time I made it. It was a like a lemon pepper butter sauce, and it was a lemon pepper butter sauce that I added buffalo sauce to. I like the buffalo lemon pepper wet better. Oh, my mouth is watering because it's just listen, it's just that good. So literally I made my lemon pepper mix, fresh lemon, butter, and then your favorite hot sauce. I like to use Louisiana hot sauce or crystal hot sauce because I'm from Louisiana. So good. Best sauce I've ever had. I toss it on naked wings because I like it better without the flour batter on the outside. So good. You can't go wrong. I can send you the recipe because I wrote it down because I built it from scratch. I'm a chef. I built it from
No,
scratch
no.
myself.
What part of Louisiana are you from?
I am from St. Francisville, Louisiana, which is right outside of Baton Rouge, right by Angola
Okay, because
Prison.
because no one, no offense to anybody else, no one cooks better than Louisiana chefs.
Okay.
Period. And I'm from
You
New
ain't
York.
said a lie.
So
Okay.
I'm not in trouble. I'm going to be in trouble for that. So I wouldn't dare take your recipe and try and make it. I would have to come over because no way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We can arrange that. It
Yeah.
was so good. So I would say that's what, since you brought up lemon pepper wings, that's what I'm eating because sometimes lemon pepper wings be super salty. And I decided, I was like, I got to make my own because I don't like my food overly salty. When I made them wings, ah, chef's
Take you
kiss.
out. I
They
love
took
it.
me out. I've made them 3 times in the last month. They're
I
so
love it.
good.
Sounds good. So yeah, lemon pepper wings. We're both eating lemon pepper wings.
Right? Okay. And what are you wanting?
God, everything. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
Talk about it.
So right now I'm wanting to go home so I can work on my merch line. That's what I'm
Mm.
wanting. I want to go home so I can print my merch and start sharing with everybody.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I'm gonna
How,
go home for a second.
yeah, just a second. That's it. Yeah, you've been all over.
Mhm.
Your merch. How far along in the process are you? Are you like almost done or at the beginning? Where are you?
Yeah, so we're almost done. My favorite thing about living in LA or having a hub in LA is the garment district.
Yep.
Being able to feel and touch the fabrics, being able to play in all the colors. You can get stuff dyed, whatever you want to get it dyed. So we have the designs. Now I just want to go touch everything. I have
Mhm.
my t-shirt guy, I have my everything guys, my printers, but I just want to make sure I look at it, make sure it's the exact right color, totally on brand for Comeback Sis.
Yes.
And then I'm going to print it and touch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that's my plan for like my next round of merch, because I just did the print on demand with this, which is cool. But since then, so I had a birthday party and I got graphic tees made for my guests. I'm so extra. But I went to the garment district and I touched all of the shirts. I said, it has to be the perfect shirt. So I found this one place called like Tees. They have these distressed.
Oh,
No, you're lying.
I'm just saying because I know how hard you look for it. Like you look everywhere. And then there's the hat spot right next to it. You look everywhere. And Tees, I know their mother.
Yeah.
I know the sons. I know the whole family.
Yes.
I know the Zelle account.
Yes.
That's crazy.
That's very crazy. That speaks to their quality right there. Their quality is on. Yes. So I got some of their distressed oversized tees, and everyone who got one at my party is just like, this is my favorite shirt. I wear this shirt all the time. So I'm going to go back to them and they going to be taking all my money because their quality
We have to send them this clip.
Right?
Their mom, I printed up like one of my bags and we did the puff print.
Mhm.
And she loved it so much. She said, I'm going to take one. Is that okay? Can you sign it for me? And I was like, sure, girl, go ahead and take the bag.
I love that. Oh yes, we have to cut this clip out. I'll have my editor cut this out for them. But yes, Tees is where it's at, and I cannot wait to go back. I was actually thinking that the other day. I was like, I have to make a run downtown because I just have to go buy some more shirts. Oh my gosh. Well, this was so fun. I had such a great time.
The very same.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just to let everybody know, when can they listen to the podcast and where should they go?
You can listen to the podcast today. You can go to comebacksis.com. Get on the newsletter so I can come hang out with you and show you all the new merch we're coming out with. But listen to that first episode today. You're going to have so much fun hearing the story of Real Talk Kim, how she got through it, and how you can get through yours too.
I'm excited. I'm ready to hear what she got to say, because when you said she was going to hell on a slip and slide, I know she's a good time.
I say, Kim, there's not a slip and slide.
Is she from the South? That sounds like something that I would say, like a Southern. That's definitely something a Southern person would say.
She's the epitome of from the South.
I love that. I cannot wait to listen. I've had such an amazing time talking with you. And if you ever want to come back on the podcast, you are always welcome. This was so fun. Words cannot express how fun this was.
Thank you so much. I feel so full. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening. That is all that I have for you today. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and rate us and leave us a review. I love reading through all of you guys' reviews, and follow us on all of our social media platforms at Affirmations for Black Girls. But on Twitter, we are AFBG_podcast. Once again, thank you, and I cannot wait to see you again next week. This is Affirmations for Black Girls.